Hello, Fakam Asio. I want to wish you guys Happy New Year 2019. Best wishes of love, health, and prosperity, and to a fragrant 2019. I also want to take the opportunity to thank you guys for all your support, tuning in, watching my video reviews, and even taking the time to comment. It really means a lot, so thank you for your support. Today we're going to be doing a retrospective look at 2018, my purchases of 2018, and then my best purchases or pickups of 2018. Before I do that, I want to talk New Year's resolution for 2019, but also 2018 and how far I've come, just a status check. 2018, I did promise myself that I would blind buy less and then sample more, and I'm really impressed with how far I've come this year. I've only got around 60 to 65 fragrances in 2018, which is much less than the previous year, so I would say that resolution in 2018 was well followed up on. The second one was that I would do more video reviews, but that didn't pan out. Now the reason is because I didn't feel, I kind of got into the routine where it wasn't interesting anymore to just do fragrance reviews. So I ended up taking a break and then kind of restarting something that I've started a while back, but kind of on the side, which was playing with notes, learning more about notes. That was a lot more engaging than just taking a fragrance, sniffing it, testing it, and then doing a review. It became kind of a routine, and then the challenge wasn't there, or the excitement wasn't there. So falling back into actually playing with the notes, going back to basics, learning about new notes that I've never heard of or that I was curious about actually helped me a lot. This is where I spend my time, in the basement. A lot of fun. It's amazing the amount of time that I spend down here. So that aspect actually rekindled my love of the hobby, but at the same time it took away from doing the fragrance review, so sorry about that. I was kind of active on Instagram with Scent of the Day post and then mini reviews, but not much going on YouTube. So sorry about that. I'm going to do a better job at balancing both of the aspect of this hobby and then come up with more video reviews here. So to supplement that, my third New Year's resolution for 2019 will be spending more time at the gym. I need to get back into shape. I used to be really active, not so much in the last year, so my goal is to get back into gym and be more active. And then the fourth one would be traveling more. I love traveling, but my last travel was a couple of years ago when I went to India, but for some reason kind of fell out of it, and then business and all that, I never planned another trip. I have actually a good friend of mine, which is she's a frag head, but she also loves traveling, but then she does a fantastic job of balancing both hobbies. So that kind of gave me inspiration to kind of put my foot down and actually set a goal to travel this year. So those are my New Year's resolutions. So now let's jump into what we're here for, my purchases of 2018. So I'm gonna really quickly go through them. I didn't buy a lot, but then to fit all like 60 in one video is gonna be long. So I'm just gonna be quick, short description. If I have a reference, I'm just gonna put the link in the comment section, and you can check that if you want. And at the end, I'm gonna do a tiered selection of my favorite picks of 2018, so that you have a sequential view of what my favorites are in sets. So let's jump into it. I'm going to be doing this by house, so it's somewhat organized. Starting with the house of East Husac. If you followed me on Instagram, you know how much I got into this house in 2018. So I ended up with 5, starting from left to right. This is Theros, the Elixir version, and then the EDP version. Beautiful presentation on the Elixir, just like an attar. Centered around Chiara with other notes, of course. I would describe this as toasted amber and oud. Of course, there are other notes, but that's how I describe it. Other people have referred to this as freshly baked cookies with a narcotic or addictive feel to it. And I definitely see that so much that I ended up with 2 versions of the kind of rough same scent. Next, we're looking at Oud Anka. Beautifully aged, crafted ouds from various regions. So you're gonna get sweet, leathery, animalic, balsamic types of ouds surrounded by other notes. Of course, I did a review on that, so I'm gonna link it below. Following that is Select's part of the 8D series. Beautiful fragrance, So much memories that this one brings up when I wear it, so it's really close to my heart. Not to give too much away, but I'm going to be doing a full review on that. But the picture that it paints is like camping away from the city's busy life of city, open fresh air there, and then you have a fire pit going. At the end of the night, fire's dying, then you hold a warm piece of polished stone, and then you have slight sweetness attached to it. Warm. It's just a wonderful fragrance. I'm going to be doing a full review on that later. Last but not least, from the brand, following that is Pavillon, which is a floral bouquet, somewhat abstract with subtle sweetnesses, very spring-like, some type of new beginning vibe coming from it. This one, when I wear it, just love it. The second house that I fell in love with is Dicel, and then for good reasons. Just a beautiful, clean approach to fragrance making with natural ingredients. So I started with Chiara and sampled the others, and then I was just blown away by the quality of their scents. So left to right, starting with Chiara, I already did a review on that, so I'm going to link it below. But this is centered around Chiara Oud, and like a non-skanky meditative feel to this one. Just well done. Following that, we have Tsuki, which is a refreshing, aromatic, minty floral, almost like geranium with a woody base. Really refreshing. And then following that, we have Akenisasu, which is a vetiver surrounded by clean citruses. There's also sweet orange, and then with a floral heart of jasmine. Next, we have Kazehikaru, which is a vetiver and clean yuzu top with a floral heart that is contrasted with an odd shisho note. That works really well without taking away the clean feel of the fragrance. It's really well done. At first, when I tried this one, the shisho note kind of threw me for a loop, but it really works well with this fragrance here. Last but not least, we have Sasura, which is camphor and oud with a fresh, sharp, medicinal, citrusy feel. It did take me a little bit to get past the medicinal aspect, but once it clicked, I just loved it. So much that I talked about this fragrance to my wife for a couple of weeks, and then she ended up grabbing it for me as a gift, a Christmas gift. So really thankful there. Next, we're looking at the House of Papillon, which means butterfly in French, like you can see from the logo. Left to right, we're starting with Salome, which reminds me of bold, vintage, mature, dirty fragrances like Bala Versailles, or kind of some of the bolder, saturated Roja and reinterpretation of some of the likes. For the quality, this is actually really well priced. And then again, dirty, mature, vintage type of fragrance. So if you like that, definitely check this one out. Next, we have Tobacco Rose, which is a set of mossy roses with a musky animalic touch. And then this one I will classify as a central rose that is stuck in between retro and then a modern type of rose. Really well done and important as well. Next, we have Dryad, which I will classify as a green aromatic shipper. Fantastic, bold herbal green paired with dry aromatic facets, some moss, and then some woods. If you like green shipper, you should definitely try this one. Next, we're looking at Anubis. This is a sweet resinous suede, almost leathery like Accor, that is almost drowned with a good dose of smoky labdanum. I also get like a spicy leathery saffron, and of course Immortelle, which adds a caramelized dark curry-like spice to the profile. Sweet resinous dry down with a warmth attached to it. Opens bold, but it settles down soft, not as loud as the opening. Last but not least, we have the soft-spoken Angelique, which is a powdery orris with soft fruity florals, mostly mimosa and osmanthus, with a clean woody base. It's really pretty personal scent and has below average projection. Next, from the House of Roja Dove, starting with Oud, which is a smooth, spicy rose saffron, amber, and oud with the salty ambergris accord and the dry down, really smooth concoction. Next, we have Parfum de la Nuit 2, which is a set of sweet, boozy resins and labdanum with a slight side of soft animalics. When I compare this to Parfum de la Nuit 1, this is much less loaded with starix and labdanum. Number 1 is just loaded with that stuff so much that it kind of overshadows the other elements. Overall, I do like Parfum de la Nuit 2 better than the 1. Next, we have the famous Dialev, which opens on my skin with smooth, musky citruses. Beautiful top there. I also get faint florals before the fragrance puts on a serious face with leather, patchouli, and oak moss. I do also get like subtle spices, some warmth from clove and cumin, and then some sweetness from the resins.
It seems to me that is the subtle nuances in this fragrance that just build up to this magnificent fragrance. I do get faint florals, but I don't get much of it unless I get really close to my skin. And then in the dry down, it turns really fecal, which is the part that I enjoy less because I find it too animalic in the dry down. But overall, this is a fantastic fragrance if you don't mind the dry down. Next, we have Nua, which is an innocent take on fresh rose with citruses. This is halfway jammy, lightly spiced with some powdery, resinous, light woody, a light smoky feel to it, but not too pronounced. From what I'm hearing, compared to the vintage edition, though, this is a castrated version. So if you're looking for that daring version of Nua, this is not going to do it, but this is still enjoyable. Following that, we have 51 Parfum pour Homme, which opens with a pungent, animalic, woody, leathery oud. Later on is paired with rose, but not your sweet oud, and then settles down nicely after the pungent opening. Following that, we have Risqué Parfum pour Homme. Great classy fragrance with keynotes of lavender, tonka, incense, myrrh, with a semi-churchy, semi-Chypre-like feel. Really well done and then really versatile. And the last set from this house is from the Profumi d'Amour collection, which is made up of 3 fragrances, mostly centered around sweet floral notes. I actually bought this one for my wife. I do enjoy wearing them, especially layering, and I do enjoy one that is less floral, less sweet, which is the Un Amor Eterno there. But Ti Amo starts with citruses, followed by sweet orange. I get ylang and rose, a good dose of vanilla, and then later on it is darkened and textured with powdery dark cocoa and orris. There's a bit of sandalwood at some point, but the sweetness in the opening is almost candy-like, but it tones down as the fragrance progresses. Amor Eterno opens with a blink of citruses that lead to a dark cocoa, some coffee beans and patchouli, so it darkens up a little bit. And then I also get slight sweetness and powdery vanilla and then orris. There's also light spices from the saffron. And down the line, it tones down quite a bit with a cedar-like woody accord with powdery orris accord. And then last but not least from that collection is Amor Mio, which opens with citruses again, sweet orange along with some fresh florals and a lot of sweetness. Ti Amo is actually spicier and warmer than this one. The next house we're looking at is Royal Crown, starting with Itzma. Let me know if I'm butchering that one. Dried fruit on a woody, leathery tobacco base with a nice dash of cypress, oak moss, and vetiver with some light dark spices. The opening is kind of reminiscent of Tuscan leather, so we can say Godolphin or Layaquam if we want to go there. But then if you don't judge it based on the opening alone, you will see the differences. For me, it is the Chypre-like accord from the patchouli, oak moss, cypress, and violet that make it so enjoyable. I also get some soft floral nuances and a little bit of incense too, showing at later stages. So opening is going to remind you of Tuscan leather, but if you wait a little bit longer, you're going to see that they're totally different. And it's a dry down that I enjoy the most. Next, we have Alchimia, which is mostly a sweet sharp rose, better suited for spring season. Last from this set is Upper Class, mostly a soft brown leather, some fruits and iris, really likable and easy to wear. More on the sweeter side. Next, we're looking at the house of Boudicca the Victorious, and then we're starting with Intricate, which pretty much is the granddaddy of Complex. I did sample Complex 2020, but ended up going with the Intricate instead. This is an intense fragrance. The beautiful, leathery, mossy dry down is what I love the most in here. Really warm and intense fragrance. Next, we have Amethyst with the gorgeous bottle. This stands out as a well-rounded balance between sweet and darker tones. This is a well-crafted, spicy oriental amber with leather. I have a full review on this one, so I'm going to link it below. Next, we have Amber Sapphire, which is a really unique fragrance that has so many nuances. But the aspect that I like about this one is the slightly boozy, spicy, woody character, along with the coniferous-like character, and then the gentle amber dry down. When I first tried this, actually, I found it a little bit odd, but one full wearing after that, and I was sold. Next, we have Green Sapphire, which is a really nice woody scent with subtle fruity tones like berry type fruits underneath it, with a creamier woods in the base. It comes off as a refined woody scent, smooth, something special, but then something that can be a signature scent as well. And the last one from this house is Angelique, which I did struggle a little bit due to the sharp apple note in the opening, but the dry down has redeeming qualities. The sharp apple in the opening kind of makes it a little bit cheap, but it's not a cheap fragrance at all. But then the way they contrast the herbal aromatic notes with the sweet amber and the woods is just amazing. This one gets me noticed in a good way every time I wear it. It's just that the opening, that sharp apple, it just kills me every time I wear it. And it's not a cheap fragrance either. The next house we're looking at is Henri Jacques, starting with Correspondance. I found this one as a gorgeous, mature, dark rose, oud, and patchouli combo. And I also get ambergris that is adding a slightly darker, salty core to the rose and oud combo in the dry down. Also get iris that lends a powdery vintage feel, especially in the first few hours. If you love vintage type of fragrances, mature type of fragrances, this is definitely it. Next we have Steel, which is an interesting take on a fresh floral citrus vanilla attar with depth and enough happiness to brighten the day. That's how I would describe it. It's just so happy. The next house we're looking at is Arish Ladore, starting with Russian oud. Oud with dark chocolatey facade, some sweetness to add a playful character, slightly leathery, resinous, and a bit animalic and musky. Really well done oud. And the other one from the house is Russian Musk. This is just a stunning fragrance, easy to enjoy, well-rounded, and it does encapsulate all the elements that I like in the fragrance. I get fresh coniferous openings, citruses, some blossoms, sweetness from tonka along with sandalwood, and a slight mossy shipper-like dry down, and a gorgeous musk indeed in the dry down. This is easy to wear, just a winner in my book. And the next fragrances that we're looking at are from Al Haramain, part of their Prestige line. I'm not going to go through these because I already did a first impression on all 6, so I'm going to link it below. The only thing that changes is that some of the ones that I found boring and simple, like the Midnight Musk, I actually end up liking it a lot more than the others, or finding it more versatile and actually wore it more than the others. I think I've worn it 2 or 3 times already compared to the others. The house that we're looking at is Oliver & Co. Perfumes. I did do a full first impressions on the ones that you see here, so I'm not going to go into the description here. I'm going to link it below. The one thing worth mentioning is if you love vetiver, the standout for me is vetiver is here. Just a wonderful take on vetiver, which is a note that I usually don't like, but this one is just well done. And for the price, I think these are worth checking, especially when they're on sale there. So check them out. Next is Atelier des Arts, starting with Musk Immortelle, which is a variation of Iris Fauve, if you like that one, but with light aromatic vibes, some warm, dry woods, clean musk, and an Immortelle in the dry down. And next to that is Rose Omeillade, which is a rose and sweet raspberry note. It is not overly jammy, but it is a sweet rose. Overall, though, the woody base helps gradually tone the sweetness, but it is something that is sweet. Next up, the House of Guerlain, starting with the Abbey Rouge collection here, the Cologne, and then the low version. So they're basically a variation of the main DNA, which is fresh citrus opening, floral heart with carnation that is landing that slightly vintage feel. Then a mossy, ambery, leathery dry down. These are much lighter than the EDP and the extract version that I have, but then the equally is good. Following that is the Mitsuko EDT version, which is a wonderful fruity shipper with subtle spices, mature and classy type of fragrance. I find them unisex, and I do enjoy them a lot. Next, we're looking at the Heritage EDT current version and one of the older formulation. Pretty much a nice lavender coriander mix with sandalwood and patchouli with subtle spices and subtle florals. They're pretty close, although the newer version has a bit more spicy and then a cleaner feel to it, and the old one smells slightly more full-bodied and of course mature, but they're both great. And last but not least, we have Iris Ganache, one of the re-releases in the B bottle. This is a powdery iris and vanilla with the white chocolate light facet to it, and then clean woods to prevent it from veering too gourmand. We're looking at the House of Blend Oud, which I did sample earlier this year and ended up with these two. The first one is called Safari, which reminded me a little bit of Oud Immortelle, but with less sweetness attached to it. And next to it, we have Mirage, which is a beautiful, refreshing, zesty grapefruit and then sweet orange combo with some blossoms. And then at the base, you get a soft, sweet amber and a little bit of resinous tall balsam that are giving it a musky, slightly vanilla-like tones. Next, we're looking at the house of Dior. This year, I only picked up 2. These are exclusives, I believe. So we have Santal Noir, which is nothing like sandalwood when you look at the name. It's actually dominated by a sweet liquor-like sticky rose. And in the dry down, I get a little bit of sandalwood, but it's overshadowed by the sweetness. Even though the sweetness is toning down over time, the sandalwood is still hidden in the background in the dry down. It is mostly, to my nose, about sweet liquor-like type of rose, sweet rose. And then the sandalwood aspect of it is in the background. A bit too sweet for my taste, that's why I ended up splitting this one and only keeping a little bit of it. But if you like rose and then sweet fragrances and beast mode fragrances, this one will do it for you compared to the other releases, or newer releases I should say, which are lighter, little less daring. This one actually stands out. And next to that we have Purple Oud, which is mostly a set of citruses, orange, and then a little bit of oud that is vetiver leaning. I wouldn't go as far as say that is a typical oud or like natural smelling oud. It's more of a vetiver leaning oud with slight smoky aspects to it, and then the beautiful refreshing citruses and orange that is added to it. This, I would say, it is more of a something that you will wear during spring or summer that are different from your typical citrusy type of fragrances. This one will stand out. Finally, we're closing with the one-off, starting with French Lover from Frederic Malle. This one has a big dose of green elements and earthy elements. Although the earthy elements are pronounced, it is in a clean way. So something that is really versatile that you can wear in almost any situation, dressed up, dressed down. Actually, this one smells refined, more leaning when you're dressed up than when you're dressed down. And then you have to love green, of course, as well as earthy ones, because those are the main theme of these fragrances. And this was recommended to me by a friend, and I'm really glad I did look into it because it's really different from whatever I have in my collection at this point. I don't like green fragrances, but the contrast between the clean and an earthy vibe, almost vamp, clean air feel to it. It's just amazing. Next to it, we have Violet Oud by Fragrance du Bois, which is a delicate, classy scent, really versatile. Out of it, I get bright sweet mandarin, cooling frankincense and elemi, light amber, some tonka, and then a beautiful woody backdrop. I also get some faint floral aspect to it, adding some type of powdery feel to it. Oud is mentioned, but there's nothing fecal in this one or funky about this. It's just a classy, refined, easy to wear fragrance. Next, we have number 1 from the House of Rosendo Mathieu, which is a gorgeous take on tea, not a drink per se. It smells like a green tea leaf accord and is well contrasted with the Mediterranean feel, seaside feel, with the citruses and also the sandalwood that is more of a cedar-like sandalwood than a creamy type of sandalwood. Overall, beautiful take on green tea leaf, and then the other contrasting element just adds to the depth of that fragrance. Next, we have EO1 from Ansar Oud. This is the first edition. Comes off to my nose as black letters, set of beautiful ouds, smoky nuances, rose, and musk. Again, this is the first edition, but I heard that the second edition is actually much better due to the fact that they added ambergris as the carrier there. So I'm excited to try that, but for now, the first formula would do. Next, we have Javel by Xerjoff, which is a musky, woody floral, some sweetness, and then some amber facets to it. Clean, easy to wear, and then the performance is really good on this one. From the House of Givenchy, we have Insensé, which is a fresh green floral with aldehydes, some aromatic facet with subtle ammoniacal type of feel from blackcurrant. Beautiful masculine floral scent. Next, we have from the House of Serge Lutens, Santal Majuscule, which is pretty much a set of rose And then sandalwood, creamy lactonic sandalwood. That kind of reminded me of another one from Serge Lutens called Jeu de Peau, but it is not as gourmand as that one, although you do get the milky lactonic feels from the sandalwood, slightly being comparable to the one that you get in Jeu de Peau, but not as gourmand. That's why I was able to enjoy this one. Jeu de Peau was a little bit too much for me. Next to that, we have from the House of 4160 Tuesdays, Oh My Soul. Beautiful collaboration here. This is an amalgamation of so many notes, encasing different genres but seamlessly. There are soft resins, myrrh, patchouli, herbal lavender, warm feel, oak moss, one of my favorite notes. And then there's the right amount of sweetness as well, and darker elements from something that smells like smoky amber. Really well done, my introduction to the house. From the House of Jean Desprez is Bala Versailles, mature, vintage, animalic, powdery, sweet, resinous. If you like animalic fragrances, something that is mature, has a vintage feel, definitely check this one out. Next, we have Trèfle Pur by Atelier Cologne, which is a fresh, citrusy, floral green with clean woods. A really good Dunbridge for spring and summer. And last but not least, we have Bel Ami Vintage, which is an older formulation that packs a stronger leathery punch. Thank you for sticking with me this far. So with that, we're gonna move on to my top 5, top 10, and top 15. I'm doing them in tiers so that you can have a sequential idea of what my favorites are in sets. So if I had a budget to only pick 5, here are my top 5. So starting with East Usac Selects, Dissel Chiara, Arish Ladore, Russian Musk, Henri Jacques Steel, and then Boudicca the Victorious Amethyst. Now let's move on to my next 5 if I had more money to spend. So for the extra 5, it will be from the House of Papillon Salome, Fragrance du Bois Oud Violet, Xerjoff Jebel, Roger Dove Risqué, and Henri Jacques Correspondance. And for the last set of the 15, so the last additional 5, it will be from Royal Crown, Itzma, Roger Dove, Oud, East Usac, Oud Anka, Boudicca the Victorious Green Sapphire, and then Rosenda Mate number 1. These will be my top 15 best purchases of 2018. Of course, the rest in the back being good fragrances as well. But if I had to limit it to 15, these are the ones. And thank you for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, and then take care.